The skies above Earth darkened as the Galactic Hegemony's warships emerged from hyperspace, 300 massive vessels that blotted out the stars like metal gods. Their hulls gleamed with an iridescent material unknown to human science, weapons, ports dotting their surfaces like hungry mouths. The smallest ship in their fleet dwarfed humanity's largest space station. Earth's defense grid lit up with warnings. Satellites tracked the alien armada as it settled into formation around the moon. Military bases worldwide went on high alert as communication specialists scrambled to decode the incoming transmission. "This is Admiral Tay of the Galactic Hegemony," announced a voice through every communication channel on Earth. The translation software struggled with the aliens' complex vocal patterns, giving the Admiral's voice an unsettling mechanical quality. "Your planet has been selected for integration. Your resources are valuable, your species is not. You have 6 Earth hours to surrender all military assets and government control." In the United Nations emergency chamber, chaos erupted. Representatives from every nation shouted over each other as the clock ticked down. Some demanded immediate surrender, others called for a suicidal first strike. Secretary General Kim sat silently, watching the feed from the lunar observatory. The alien ships were impossibly advanced, crystalline structures that seemed to phase in and out of normal space. Earth's modest defense network of 30 orbital platforms and 12 military spacecraft might as well have been spears against tanks. "Can we evacuate the lunar base?" she asked quietly. General Sung shook his head. "Not in time. 2,000. Civilians and 600 military personnel." Kim closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, something had hardened in her gaze. "Prepare the broadcast equipment," she ordered, "and contact our deep space contingency teams." The alien command ship was a cathedral of technology. Admiral Tay stood on the observation deck, his scaled skin reflecting the blue-green glow of Earth below. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Dal, approached with a datapad. "The humans are responding," Dal reported. "They request visual communication." Tay flicked his tail dismissively. "Display it. Let us see these primitives beg." The holographic display flickered to life, showing a small dark-haired human female in formal attire. Her eyes held none of the fear Tay expected. "I am Secretary General Kim of the United Nations of Earth," she stated calmly. "We reject your terms completely." Tay blinked his nictitating membranes in surprise. "Perhaps your translation software is faulty. Your species has no defense against us. Surrender is your only option." Kim's expression didn't change. "Admiral, I believe you misunderstand humanity's place in the universe. We are not a peaceful species. We did not evolve as prey. We are predators who developed empathy as a survival trait." Behind her, screens displayed Earth's military history, ancient warriors, medieval battles, world wars, all the way to modern conflicts. For 10,000 years, we have been perfecting the art of killing each other. When we're not at war, we simulate it in our entertainment. We dream about it in our sleep. We prepare for it even in times of peace. Admiral Tay shifted uncomfortably as Kim continued. "You think our technology is primitive? Perhaps, but hear me clearly. Humans don't lose wars. We escalate them beyond all reason. We will sacrifice everything before we surrender." Her voice dropped to something almost like pity. "You want war with humanity? Then welcome to hell, Admiral. We won't fight the war you expect. We'll fight the war you fear." Tay laughed, the sound like stones grinding together. Brave words from a doomed species. He turned to Dal. "Target their lunar outpost. Show them the consequences of defiance." The command ship's main weapon powered up, gathering energy like a miniature star. The beam that shot forth was blinding white, striking the lunar surface with surgical precision. The outpost vaporized instantly, leaving a glowing crater where 2,600 souls had lived moments before. "Your species has 5 hours remaining to reconsider," Tay announced. On the broadcast, Kim's face remained impassive, though her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "So be it," she said quietly. "Remember this moment, Admiral. You chose this path." The Transmission cut. In the depths of the Pentagon, 10 military leaders gathered in a room that officially didn't exist. Each placed their palm on a biometric scanner surrounding a central console. Protocol Tartarus is now active, announced the AI system. May God have mercy on our souls. Throughout the world, bunker doors began opening. Underground facilities that had been built during the Cold War and maintained in secret for decades powered up. Scientists removed experimental weapons from storage. Military units disappeared from their bases, following contingency plans created for this very scenario. On the lunar far side, hidden beneath the regolith, a facility untouched by the hegemony's attack came to life. Inside, engineers prepared spacecraft unlike anything in Earth's public space program. Vehicles built with technology, reverse-engineered from crashed alien ships over the past century. Admiral Tay watched Earth with growing unease. Human communications had gone silent except for seemingly random bursts of encrypted data. Their primitive defense platforms remained in orbit, unmanned and unthreatening. No pleas for mercy came. No surrender was offered. "They're up to something," he muttered. "What could they possibly do?" asked Dal. "Their weapons can't penetrate our shields. Their ships can barely leave their atmosphere." Tay turned from the viewport. "Prepare the first wave of ground forces. These humans need to learn their place in the galaxy." Little did he know that humanity had already begun implementing their response, a strategy so ruthless that the word Tartarus, referring to the deepest pit of hell in ancient mythology, barely hinted at what was coming. 3 days of eerie silence passed after the destruction of the lunar base. Admiral Tay paced the crystalline deck of his command ship, irritation evident in the bristling of his spine ridges. The massive view screen showed Earth rotating peacefully below them, deceptively normal despite the armada of alien warships. Surrounding it, still nothing, Tay demanded. Commander Dal checked the communication array again. Only encrypted transmissions between their military bases. Our decryption systems can't break their codes. Tay hissed in frustration. This wasn't how conquered species behaved. They should be begging, negotiating, offering resources and territory. The humans had simply gone quiet after their defiant speech. "Perhaps they're preparing some kind of weapon," suggested Dal. Tay waved a clawed hand dismissively. "Impossible. Our scans detect no energy buildups consistent with planetary defense systems. Their primitive nuclear weapons couldn't reach us before we neutralized them." He stopped pacing. "No, they're simply paralyzed with fear, hoping we'll leave if they hide long enough." Tay made his decision. "Prepare the first invasion wave. We'll take their population centers and force their leadership out of hiding." Within hours, 500 dropships launched from the hegemony fleet, each carrying 30 elite soldiers. The teardrop-shaped vessels glowed red-hot as they tore through Earth's atmosphere, targeting major cities across the planet. Captain Rock commanded the lead dropship, heading for what humans called New York City. His soldiers, a mix of reptilian, Drax warriors and robotic sentinel units, checked their plasma rifles and phase armor as the ship descended. "Remember," Rock instructed, "minimal casualties unless resistance is encountered. The hegemony needs workers for the resource extraction." The dropship broke through the cloud layer, and Rock frowned at what he saw. The city below was empty. No vehicles moved on the streets. No life signs registered except for scattered readings. Too few for a city of millions. "Where are they?" a soldier asked. Rock had no answer as the dropship touched down in a large open area, surrounded by towering structures. Other vessels landed nearby, disgorging troops into the silence. "Spread out. Secure the perimeter," Rock ordered, stepping onto Earth soil for the first time. The air smelled strange, filled with unfamiliar chemicals, and the lingering scent of millions of humans now vanished. Similar scenes unfolded worldwide. Hegemony forces landed in abandoned cities, finding only empty buildings and quiet streets. Occasional small groups of humans were captured, mostly elderly or infirm who couldn't evacuate. They revealed nothing under questioning. In orbit, Admiral Tay received the initial reports with growing unease. "This makes no sense," he muttered. "Where could billions of humans hide?" "Underground, perhaps," suggested Dal. "Our scans would have detected large subterranean structures," Tay replied, though doubt had begun to creep into his voice. 24 hours after landing, the first troubling reports came in. A patrol of 10 soldiers disappeared in the ruins of Beijing. Their last transmission mentioned entering a subway station. When a second team investigated, they found only abandoned equipment and spatters of blue Drax blood. In Moscow, a squad reported strange movements in supposedly empty buildings before their communications cut off mid-sentence. The rescue team found nothing but a single boot belonging to one of the missing soldiers. Captain Rock's forces in New York established their base in a massive structure humans called Grand Central. As night fell, strange sounds echoed through the tunnels beneath them, metallic scrapings and whispers that the audio filters couldn't quite isolate. "Send a team to investigate," Rock ordered. 4 soldiers, 2 Drax and 2 Sentinels, disappeared into the darkness. Their helmet cameras showed only flickering shadows before all transmissions ceased. Rock was preparing a larger force when the power to their temporary base failed. Emergency lighting bathed the grand hall in blood-red glow. Something moved in, the shadows at the edges of the light. "Defensive positions!" Rock shouted, raising his plasma rifle. The attack came from all directions at once. Small objects flew through the air, primitive projectiles that somehow passed right through their advanced shields. 3 soldiers fell immediately. The Sentinels' targeting systems went haywire, unable to lock onto the fast-moving shadows that darted between pillars. Rock fired into the darkness, his plasma bolts illuminating brief glimpses of their attackers, humans, in strange form-fitting suits that seemed to bend light around them. Not military uniforms, just ordinary people wielding an impossible technology. "Fall back," Rock ordered as more of his soldiers fell. He activated his emergency beacon, calling for extraction. The surviving hegemony forces retreated to the roof, pursued by weapons that shouldn't exist, handheld devices that disrupted their neural systems, projectiles that phased through shielding, and worst of all, tiny aerial drones that attached themselves to Sentinel units and somehow rewrote their control systems. Of the 30 soldiers who landed, only 7 made it to the extraction point. As the rescue shuttle descended through swirling snow, Rock saw movement on adjacent rooftops, humans watching, not even bothering to hide anymore. Aboard the command ship, Admiral Tay received increasingly desperate reports from around the planet. Patrol after patrol ambushed by enemies they couldn't detect, supply chains disrupted by sabotage, communications jammed by technology that shouldn't exist on such a primitive world. "Impossible," he whispered, reviewing footage of a human child. No. More than 12 years old, disabling a Sentinel with a handheld device that emitted no energy signature their sensors could detect. "Admiral?" Dal's voice shook slightly. "We've lost contact with 20% of our ground forces in just the first day." Tay stared at the planetary display, where red dots indicating lost units blinked across every continent. "What are we dealing with?" he asked nobody in particular. "Where did they get this technology?" The answer came in a form nobody expected. All hegemony communication channels suddenly filled with a simple message, repeated in their own language. "You wanted war. We gave you hell. This is only the beginning." What terrified Tay most wasn't the message itself, but what it implied. Somehow the humans had already broken hegemony encryption standards that had kept their communications secure for centuries. They weren't just fighting back. They were inside the hegemony systems, and this was only day 1 of the invasion. Deep below the streets of Seoul, General Park moved through tunnels that didn't appear on any official maps. The underground complex stretched for kilometers, connecting with similar systems beneath other cities through high-speed magnetic rail lines. Screens lined the walls of the command center, displaying feeds from hidden cameras around the world. Thousands of civilians worked alongside military personnel, everyone with assigned duties in humanity's resistance plan. "Status report," Park ordered, her voice steady despite 72 hours without sleep. "Bunker networks across all continents are fully operational," reported a young lieutenant. 97% of priority civilians successfully evacuated before the invasion. Food supply sufficient for 3 years. Park nodded. The aliens had expected to find cities full of terrified humans. Instead, they found ghost towns with a few strategic groups left behind. mostly special forces disguised as civilians, along with volunteer fighters who knew the urban terrain better than any military map could show. "What about Project Rust?" she asked. A scientist approached with a tablet showing microscope footage. "The nanobots are performing beyond expectations. The first wave has successfully infiltrated their hull materials." On the screen, tiny machines invisible to the naked eye systematically disassembled alien metal molecule by molecule. The nanobots had been humanity's secret weapon for decades, developed after the Roswell crash, but kept hidden, waiting for the day Earth would need them. Timeline until critical failure in their ships? At current reproduction rates, 2 weeks before they notice, 4 weeks before catastrophic breaches. Park allowed herself a small smile. "Good. We don't need to win. We just need to hold out long enough." Across the world, similar scenes played out in hidden command centers. Humanity had prepared for alien invasion since the 1950s, developing contingency plans that seemed paranoid until they weren't. Now those plans were being executed with methodical precision. Aboard the Hegemony support vessel, Eternal Vigilance, Supply Master Grek stared in disbelief at the inventory screens. Somehow critical components were disappearing from secure storage. Equipment crucial for repairs was failing at impossible rates. Food stores for the ground troops were spoiling despite preservation fields. "Run another diagnostic," he ordered. The maintenance drones. A technician approached cautiously. "Sir, I found something strange in the water recycling system. Under a molecular scanner, the water sample revealed tiny machines breaking apart and rebuilding themselves, infiltrating every system on the ship." "Quarantine this immediately," Grek shouted, but deep down, he knew it was already too late. Whatever these microscopic saboteurs were, they had likely spread throughout the fleet. In orbit, Admiral Tay faced growing pressure from Hegemony High Command. The initial reports of easy victory had given way to disturbing accounts of an enemy that fought. Unlike anything encountered in centuries of galactic conquest, the humans are using their own population centers as traps, Tay explained to the holographic council. "They're not defending territory. They're drawing our forces in and picking them apart." "This is unacceptable," growled Supreme Commander. "Vex. Increase orbital bombardment, scorch their cities if necessary." Tay hesitated. "We've tried, but their critical infrastructure isn't where our intelligence suggested. And when we bombard empty cities, we only create more hiding places for their ambush teams." What Tay didn't mention was his growing suspicion that human technology was far more advanced than initially believed. His analysts had detected strange energy signatures from beneath the planet's surface, power sources that didn't match anything in their database. Meanwhile, in a secured facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Commander Han briefed her team of 12 elite operatives. The room hummed with quiet intensity as they checked equipment that combined alien technology with human ingenuity. "The transport has been modified with the cloaking system reverse-engineered from the scout ship we captured in 2018, Han explained, gesturing to the sleek craft in the launch bay. "It will register as debris on their sensors. Once aboard their command ship, we'll have 30 minutes to access their central database before extraction." "What if we're discovered?" asked one of the operatives. Han held up a small device. "Last resort only. This will release a quantum virus into their systems. We want their technology intact, not destroyed." The team understood the stakes. While the rest of humanity fought a delaying action, their mission might determine Earth's ultimate survival. As the stealth transport left Earth's atmosphere, its advanced cloaking system, built from technology recovered from crashed alien vessels, over the past century, bent light and sensor readings around it. To hegemony scanners, it appeared as nothing more than a piece of orbital debris, one of thousands circling the planet. Han's heart raced as they approached the massive hegemony command ship. The alien vessel dwarfed anything humans had built, stretching almost 2 kilometers from bow to stern. Its crystalline surface pulsed with energy that their scientists still couldn't fully understand. "Approach vector locked," whispered the pilot. "Maintenance airlock identified. Their automated systems are beginning the cycling sequence." The transport slipped into the airlock designed for repair drones. Once inside, The team moved with practiced precision, their suits adapting to mimic the electronic signatures of hegemony maintenance units. "Remember," Han said through the secure comm system, "our priority is the propulsion data and weapons specifications. Everything else is secondary." They split into 3 groups, moving through service corridors mapped from previous infiltrations. Han led her team toward the central database, avoiding patrols with the help of sensor scramblers. Back on Earth, General Park received an alert from her Digital Warfare Division. "General, they've taken the bait. Hegemony ships are accessing our internet systems." Park allowed herself a rare smile. "Activate Operation Digital Hydra." Across the planet, seemingly innocent human networks suddenly came alive with dormant AI, viruses specifically designed to infiltrate alien computing systems. When hegemony intelligence officers accessed Earth's internet-seeking strategic information, they instead unleashed complex algorithms that began replicating throughout their fleet's connected systems. Aboard the hegemony ships, navigation systems failed unexpectedly. Communications experienced strange delays. Targeting computers displayed phantom readings. Nothing catastrophic, just enough subtle malfunctions to create confusion and doubt. On the command ship, Han's team reached the central database core, ACI, crystalline structure that stored information in patterns of light rather than conventional digital storage. They attached specialized devices designed to copy without disrupting the energy patterns. "Download at 20%, whispered the tech specialist. "Estimated time remaining, 12 minutes. That's when the alarms began. Not for them, but ship-wide alerts as multiple systems simultaneously reported failures across the fleet. Han realized immediately what was happening. "Park launched the digital attack," she said. "We need to finish before they isolate their systems." As they raced to complete their mission, Han caught glimpses of panic spreading through the ship. Hegemony officers rushed through corridors, maintenance drones flew in confused patterns, and security protocols activated randomly. When the download finally completed, Han's team made their way back to the transport using the growing chaos as cover. Their mission was just one of dozens happening simultaneously across the hegemony fleet. Small teams infiltrating, gathering intelligence, and planting devices that would continue working long after they departed. As their transport broke away from the command ship, Han looked back at the massive alien armada. Already she could see signs of degradation in their hull integrity, microscopic at first but growing. The nanobots were doing their work. "Phase 1 complete," she reported to General Park as they re-entered Earth's atmosphere. "We have what we need." Park nodded grimly on the video screen. "Good, because their next move will be desperate and we need to be ready." The war had only just begun, but humanity was fighting it on terms the hegemony never expected, using weapons prepared. Across decades of secret development, the aliens had brought conventional warfare to Earth. Humans had responded with something much worse. The emergency alarms aboard the hegemony command ship hadn't stopped wailing for 3 days straight. Admiral Tay stood before the tactical display, his scaled skin pale with exhaustion as he watched another red alert appear. This time from Proxima Centauri, a star system that shouldn't have been accessible to human technology. "Impossible," he whispered. "They can't have ships there already." Commander Dahl rushed onto the bridge, datapad clutched in trembling claws. "Admiral, we've lost contact with the colony on Tau Ceti E. All communications ceased after they reported unknown vessels entering the system." Tay struggled to process the information. Just 6 months ago, humans had been confined to their solar system with primitive chemical rockets and basic ion drives. Now they were somehow appearing across hegemony, space, striking with devastating precision using weapons that matched or exceeded hegemony technology. "Order all invasion forces to withdraw from Earth immediately," Tay commanded, his voice hoarse. "Recall the entire fleet back to the homeworld." As the evacuation order spread, hegemony ground forces scrambled to reach extraction points. Many never made it. The same civilians who had hidden underground now emerged in overwhelming numbers, armed with hybrid weapons that combined alien technology with human ingenuity. From his shuttle viewing port, Tay watched Earth grow smaller as they ascended to orbit. The blue planet looked deceptively peaceful from space, giving no hint of the nightmare his forces had encountered there. What disturbed him most wasn't just the defeat, but the realization that Earth had never been the real target of humanity's war planet had been a distraction all along. 3 weeks later, in the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Conclave, representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations gathered in emergency session. The massive chamber hummed with fearful whispers as delegates from across the galaxy discussed the unprecedented threat. Supreme Ambassador Grell of the Hegemony addressed the assembly, his once proud posture now hunched with defeat. The humans have attacked 12 hegemony worlds in the past month. We've lost contact with 5 of them completely. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. On the central holographic display, a map showed human strike patterns spreading outward, from Earth like a deadly infection. How did they develop faster-than-light technology so quickly? Demanded the Vorlian representative, their bioluminescent tentacles flashing with agitation. Ambassador Jor of the ancient Mershan Confederation rose from her seat, silver fur bristling. We warned you not to engage the humans. 3 centuries ago, our scientific expedition observed their planet. We classified it immediately as a death world and placed warning beacons throughout the system. She fixed Grell with 4 glowing eyes. Your hegemony arrogantly ignored those warnings, removed our beacons, and attacked a species that has specialized in warfare since they first picked up stones as weapons. What the hegemony failed to understand, continued Jor, was that humans weren't just fighting a defensive war. They were stealing your technology, improving it, and preparing for something much worse. A junior aide rushed into the chamber and whispered urgently to Ambassador Grell. The hegemony representative's scales turned ash-gray. Honored delegates, Grell's voice trembled. We have just received word that human vessels have been detected approaching the Conclave homeworld. They will arrive within the hour. Panic erupted across the assembly. The Conclave homeworld was supposed to be the most secure location in the galaxy, its coordinates known only to member species. The massive security doors at the chamber's entrance slid open. A single human female strode confidently into the room, wearing a simple blue uniform with no visible weapons. The chamber fell silent as she approached the central platform. I am Admiral Sun of Earth's Combined Defense Force, she announced, her voice carrying throughout the hall without technological assistance. I come with a message and a choice. Behind her, holographic displays activated, showing human warships emerging from faster-than-light travel throughout the system, sleek vessels that combined hegemony technology with human design philosophies. Hundreds of them, where there should have been none. The hegemony attacked our world, destroyed our lunar colony and killed thousands of our people, Sun continued. We responded in kind, but unlike the hegemony, we understand the concept of proportional response. We have not destroyed any civilian populations, despite having the capability. She touched a control on her wrist, and the displays showed hegemony, military installations burning while nearby civilian centers remained untouched. Humanity offers the following terms. The hegemony will surrender all military vessels and withdraw from the 12 worlds they have conquered in the past decade. Those worlds will be granted independence and protection under a new human-led alliance. Ambassador Grell started to protest but fell silent when Sun raised her hand. This is not a negotiation, she said calmly. It is mercy, something the hegemony did not offer Earth. You have one standard day to comply. The Mershan representative spoke up. And if the Conclave refuses to enforce these terms? Admiral Sun's expression remained neutral, but something cold flickered in her eyes. Then you will learn what Earth has been preparing for since we detected your observation vessels centuries ago. Why do you think we developed weapons when we should have been focused on agriculture? Why did we split the atom before we cured cancer? She gestured toward the stars visible through the chamber's transparent ceiling. We always knew you were out there. We've been waiting. Before any delegate could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. On the displays, new signals appeared. Hundreds more human ships emerging from FTL at the edge of the system. The Conclave's Supreme Elder rose shakily to his feet. We will establish a permanent quarantine zone around human space. No species will be permitted to approach Earth or human-controlled territories without explicit permission. Admiral Sun smiled for the first time. a small, dangerous expression. A wise decision. But understand this, the quarantine works both ways. We have no interest in conquest, only in ensuring that what happened to Earth never happens again. As she turned to leave, a final message transmitted across all communication channels in the chamber, text in every known galactic language, accompanied by Admiral Sun's voice. You wanted war. Welcome to hell. This is only the beginning. Tai. Assembled delegates watched in stunned silence as she departed, the doors sealing behind her. Outside the windows, human warships moved into defensive formations around the Conclave station, not attacking, but making their presence unmistakable. In the chamber, the Mercian ambassador whispered to her aide, "Record this day in our histories. The galaxy as we knew it has ended." Across 12 star systems, human colony ships emerged from hiding, vessels that had left Earth weeks before the hegemony arrived, carrying millions of people to new homes beyond the reach of alien aggressors. What the hegemony had thought was, humanity's last stand had merely been phase one of a plan centuries in the making. Humanity had survived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The end